Hey there, it's Chris. Welcome back to the Kai Schulin project, where last time we kind of started really prepping out and getting the cloak ready to go. We did the off camera, I'd done a lot of work kind of smoothing everything out. On camera, did the another coat on the buttons here. We did a lot of this kind of shoulder guard, got this all prepped and ready. Off camera again, came back, cleaned up the inside, make the made the nice little rim down there. And we also went and did a couple like more of the detail stuff. We put the decals on the hat, and we're really kind of getting this into the final stages of stuff. So today's goal is to be all about turning this into camouflage that you see out there. So it's not just what it is. And to do that, I have a very crowded workspace today. So just to give you a heads up on that. So in addition to the usual kind of the satin stuff colors here, I've had to push everything over to the side so I can fit my laptop on my table, which has been traditionally sitting kind of propped up on my chair to the side of me. If only because to do this, I wanted to bring the big guns out here. Now I have my desktop monitor down here, so I have a good visual on what I can go for the camouflage for myself. And I'm going to make sure I try to have something appropriate for you to see on the side as we go. So I just spent the last several minutes sitting here waiting for this camera to autofocus for me to start this video. So hopefully that helps out and is nice to us today. So to get started with, I want to do one thing first, and that is on this guy here. Oop, let me move that out of the way. If we go back and turn to here, you can see that there's one more decal thing to go down in here, and that's that kind of saber-toothed tiger looking emblem that goes on the side. So all I'm going to do is, we're going to get ourselves set up here. See if we can get this to work. So I'm going to do right now to do this, I'm going to do just a circle out of the white. The white is going to be it's going to be easier to cover the white with the black than to cover the black with a white. So I'm going to do a white base coat on this part. And then later on, we're going to go from there and try to transform it into what it needs to transform into. And this is actually a fairly sizable element. So let's see. I think I'm where I want to be on camera. I'll put you down there. And just like before, we want to get kind of a big old circle. And this one actually is kind of a big old circle in here. It's not subtle about it, and actually that's not terrible to start with. Well, that's already a nice big old circle. Now, if this is anything like the eyes, it's going to take several coats of this white to kind of read how I want it to. So we're going to be coming back to this probably later on this session, and I might be doing, I really don't want to be doing this part off camera. I mean, this is a good big old element that would be nice to do on camera, but I just try to get you as circle-ish as I can and kind of as centered as I can. I think that's not too bad for circled and or centered on here, so we're just going to hold off on that for a while, let it dry real quick, which really by the time I clean out the brush, it's probably going to be dry enough to do another coat because this stuff is awesome that way. I'm back to clean water again, starting from scratch, although now I'm trying to dry off of white, so the dirty water would have been helpful to see what color this is and making sure all this stuff comes off, but that should be fine. Alright, and in just a moment, we are going to go and start all of the fun stuff. Okay, water goes away. Foop. That goes off to the side, and this guy comes down here. Now, is this a place where we're going to be able to see things? Let me make sure we get kind of... Now, like usual, this may turn out kind of rough at the start. The edges may not be 100% crisp, clean, and straight. Because if say I'm painting this element down, let me give you something to look at. If I'm painting, say, like this kind of corner element down here, the edges may not necessarily be straight. So I'm going to re-go over this, and it's going to be kind of working from inside and outside over several coats to get this to look kind of the way it does. Now, I can almost guarantee this will not be 100% one-to-one recreation of what we have, but we're going to try to get as good as we can. And also, when I was looking at the images, once again, I will never point correctly when the camera's facing down. We're looking at the image here. This red, there's only one shade of red. I thought the camo kind of blended in here, so as like a dark section comes, this became dark. As a light section comes, that becomes light. The red is just a solid red, and that's it. So we're gonna see how this all looks as we go ahead with this. So we're gonna be doing glasses on, glasses off a lot today because I need to look at what. No, we're just gonna be doing this with glasses on. And we're just gonna see what happens. But let's go ahead and see what we can do. So we have you come down. You start kind of wide. You start kind of in. Now, of course, I apologize. You're not looking at the autumn blend. You're looking at the winter kind of snow colorization on the side. But the actual camo stuff doesn't change as a result of that. So that much is going to remain as is. So if we have an outline there, I can kind of color this. Oh, coloring in with, trying to cut in with glasses on is actually kind of awkward. I'm not gonna lie. You'd think, oh, glasses make life easier. For like 99% of the things I do in my life, absolutely, this makes life easier. However, doing this is probably the one thing that just doesn't want to work as nicely with the glasses on. So we're just going to be dealing with that fact. I'm going to come out just a little bit more over here. All right, I wanted that little spot to be a little bigger. It doesn't read as anything. So okay, so down here, we're starting up a little ways, kind of come up, out, up, and you come just straight across into there. And hopefully by the end of this, we'll have something that looks okay. Again, it's going to take the usual, probably just 2 coats on this to get the colorization I want. Plus, there's going to be touching up some of these corners to get them crisp and neat. But hopefully by the end of this, though, this will start reading. I'm already liking the mocha versus the brown color. I think this is actually working together pretty well. So that's a start. And we're not even 10 minutes in, and I'm already happy with how things are looking. You come down, zig across, come up, zig down a little more, come up, and in just a little. Yeah, so this part, again, this part's not complicated. It's just, for sections I can't see, that's going to be mostly aesthetic choices. If I can't see something really well on either the screen you're looking at, which I'm realizing I'm primarily still looking at your screen because it is large enough that I can see it. But if it comes to a point where it doesn't quite work, I do have the much bigger screen on the other side of me I can go from. But as long as we get this kind of almost sort of working in here, Okay, going up. What do we have? Actually, yeah, I'm already liking this. I am already liking this. All right, I think now that images are getting scrunched on the side here, I will be using my other screen to kind of figure some of this out. Let's see, so this big middle one kind of comes in and down. You come up kind of steeply. I've run out of paint. Running out of paint is good. You come out just a little further. So you go up. Come down to there. So you go down something like that. And it actually looks like it. I don't have enough paint in the cap of this thing to be doing what I want to be doing. Alright, so we're going to finish off this one section here. And then I'm going to put some more paint in this cap, because what I should have done is actually just turn the whole thing upside down so the paint kind of flowed into it, and I didn't do that. So, yep. Okay, we're getting there, we're getting there. Trying to be very, very careful. Yes, I wound up doing another hour's worth of stuff last night, so I'm actually up to, as I said, my estimate on painting was between that, like, I don't know, 11 hours or so to do. Well, of that time, I've spent 10 hours just off camera doing stuff. So I believe this is like hour 10 on camera, so I have completely blown through any estimate that was planning on this. And actually, if you remember the very first session I think I had done, I had like a showcase of other characters and stuff I had done. I had Pixie in the background. Pixie took me approximately 19 and a half to 20 hours to model. And just the painting side of things is going to be longer than that entire process. So hey, we actually have paint in the cap this time. That's kind of cool. Yeah, so the nice thing with this is rather than the colors kind of being interlocked kind of with each other, so it's like a 50-50, it really just is a field of this with little islands of the darker color in there, which does kind of make this a little easier to work with, to try to figure things out. So on that front, I'm kind of happy. We have a little bit down there. You come up just a little. That goes down. Yeah, because you don't need to really figure out as much. It's just making little islands and not really interlocking pieces, which would be a little more tricky to try to visualize and pick out. So, all right, and this top doesn't blend down to the bottom. It does get treated as two separate pieces of fabric, so that also makes me happy. Because you see here, less I need to think about. Okay, so that's the bottom of that. Have you go up. Out in a little kind of star. You go up kind of there. And then you also kind of come back. Am I doing this one on camera? No, of course I'm not. I need to be hyper vigilant. The video that just went out, that I just posted last night, was the one where the camera was 100% not focused on the project. I didn't tilt the camera down far enough, so I'm very aware of that during this session, because I'm just uploaded that and I'm like, oh crap. Well, that's not good. The model looks so good in that one, but we had some technical difficulties we don't want to deal with. Again, anyway. Okay. We're getting somewhere. So what do we have going up top here? So up top, looks like there's some craziness kind of going on up top. So let's do the left side first. That side, which I guess is the right side of her body, but it's facing whatever. We're doing this side first. All right, so come. I love if I just leave this big splotch. This is. Well, I'm not emptying out the brush like I should be, but at the same time, I'm not super concerned. Actually, I probably want to come down a little more. We go up, and we go in. And we go up quite a ways. And it looks like it just kind of goes straight across into it. And all of that island now gets colored in. Be prepared for this. This is all we're going to be doing today. Although I may stop partway through and do another coat of the white and start getting an emblem going. Which I wouldn't be opposed to getting that emblem kind of going, because I'm running out of time to finish that on camera. I know I really didn't want to do those types of details on the bang project on camera, but I've already done the other ones on the hat on here. And I kind of don't have that inhibition anymore that I had on the previous one. So I'm going to say, yeah, let's do it. If we can do that on camera, let's do that on camera. Okay, this next piece is kind of wild. Okay, so what are we doing on this? So you want something that kind of comes in, maybe just a little further. Then it comes down way far, comes back in, and then goes to the edge. I really should be getting the excess paint off of the brush. You come down, you go over, and then it goes down and across a little further before coming up to something like there. We have it coming down, and then it goes up there. Yeah, this was one of those details where when I was very thinking of doing the project, even before starting anything, that I wasn't sure how feasible doing this part was going to be. And frankly, this is incredibly, incredibly easy. So sometimes we get moments like that where you just get worried over something really for nothing. You start doing it and you realize, why was I ever nervous in the first place? We can do this. It's not bad. I mean, that's looking like camo. That is looking like all of the camo, and I'm okay with that. Alright, so coming up here on the side, we have, it looks like you kind of come up to a point that then comes, I can have you come down here, and that gets kind of filled in. Yeah, I feel like I made this neck area a little taller than it had to be, a little kind of beefier than it had to be. So that's affecting some of the scaling involved in this, for sure. That goes, kind of starts down there. Okay, I'm kind of making up a little bit of this as actually I'm making up a lot of this one as I go. You should be, could be something like this. It's not 100% accurate with my representation. I did things backwards. No. Okay, I think this is overall effect, I think is okay. And we're going to do one more of these guys. I don't have any visual on this part here, so let's just make junk up. And if I have these, I should be wrapping the tops around just to make sure that kind of feels right. But there we go. We have camo going. We're only like a little over 20 minutes in. Okay, well, every image we have has this thing on top, so we really can't see anything that's going on up here ever, because wherever this is on, that's on, so that's super cool. All right, I just got a dab of paint on here, so that's awesome. We still have touch-ups to do. There'll always be touch-ups to do. It's a fact of life. Let's see. Let's get... I can see kind of a piece that looks like it comes down here. Okay, I see a stray little something that just got, okay, in there. That's fine, as long as there are no... Yeah, let's sharpen that out. We don't want little rounded edges. We want good, old, beefy edges. All right, I get the feeling I put the red down here a little bit low because I have a lot of real estate to work with on this that, frankly, I shouldn't have to work with on this. So we are going to be hecka making up some of these shapes down here for sure. So that starts there, it kind of comes up, it goes out. This is a big shape. This is a big one that goes in. And I realize you can't see any of it. I can barely see what I'm doing because it's wrapping around a corner quite nicely. Okay, so I did that. We come up further. Come down. Come down. Something like that. Yeah, this is one of the awkward ones to show on camera. So in general, I think it's not going to be too bad getting this on visual so you can see it, but every once in a while, kind of these corner things are going to be just, bear with, they will just be difficult to show on here without completely moving the camera around. And just for painting purposes, keeping the camera where it is right now in general is much easier for me because I'm not having to move my head around the sides of the camera to see things. So just bear with. I realize you can't see what's going on very well. I also feel bad I don't really have any side banter going on because I just recorded the last one last night, which was a Friday. It's Saturday now, so it's not like there's new stuff that's happened at work that I need to talk about or new things going on anywhere. It's literally just the next day, and I haven't done anything of note in that time frame. Alright, I'm going to just take this just a little bit further out than I was. Okay, so on the image, these two things are kind of close together, but because this red thing is way farther, this red mark is way further down than it has to be, those two guys are now kind of far apart. So we will be adding, like I said, elements to this to make it kind of work. I'm just going to see what kind of space presents itself for that point, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I can't really see how it ends underneath the shoulder guard, so we're just going to do a little funky whoop whoop like that. Call it good, because it is good. So that said, since the last time I did carve some more stuff off the bottom of this, and then I kind of painted everything over to make it look nice and neat and good, but I haven't really tested it since. I touched up Kai on the model, so the rub marks and whatnot are gone, but I haven't really tested since I did more carving. So that's gonna be fun when I get to that. It's gonna be awesome. Do I have... Not much. Oh, I really like this. I really, really like it. It's coming out so good. Let's see. I'm just going to bring this out a little further. Okay, this image does show some wraparound stuff. What do we have going on up here that we can see? So that we can, so from what we can see, I have this coming down, kind of goes up, comes down there. Then it kind of zigs. I'm going to zig it one more time up to here. Let's give it a little more pronounced of a zig. Let's give you a little more pronounced zig as well. We don't want those little kind of wimpy zigs going on. We want some actual legit stuff. Up top, we kind of start skinny. It probably gets up, but now we can't see any of what's going on. So we're just going to do that. It might be a little too busy of an individual part, but it's paint. If it doesn't look good, I can always go back over it again with the mocha color. It's kind of like my magic eraser. That's the best part with paint. If you don't like it, you can just paint over it again. Doesn't matter. It's a little more user-friendly that way than say some of the other, let's say, modeling is. Which is much more user-friendly than, say, carving is. Which I'm looking forward to the next project. The next project's going to have a decent chunk of carving versus Bang's project. Bang's project was all clay. This one was like 90% clay with a little bit of the carving going on. Next one is going to have quite a bit more carving going on. It's going to have, yeah, a decent chunk of other things. There's too much brown in that. We're gonna play with that, but it's at the same time this kind of goes up here and is gonna hide everything. Okay, so there's no visual right at the very top. So we're just gonna do maybe I could do this just a little more, only because this is a bigger piece. Do a little bit of that up there. Feels like, now I know the image doesn't have anything on the bottom, but it feels like it wants something at the bottom. It's just too stark down here. Just add that a little bit. At least kind of gives it something. Let's make you a little wider. At least that gives it something down there. What are we doing on time? 30 minutes. Okay. I have all that we have here. I know I need to do another element in that. Can I see this off my image? No. No, I can't. I would need actually a different image to be able to do that. So what if we flip this over? Flip you over. Let's see what we got going on the back here. Let's work with the stuff we do know and work towards the stuff we don't. Kind of my modus operandi. Yeah, if you feel like you don't know what you're doing, just find the elements you do know, find elements you know are going to wind up in a final production, get those done first, and then after that you can work on the stuff that you don't, because it limits the options for then the elements that don't seem to be working for you, and it makes life a little easier that way when just trying to problem solve things. Start with what you do, work towards what you don't. So if I can see these, this will then help inform the areas I don't know later on. This way you're also always making forward progress. You're not just stalled, standing there, sitting at this, looking at it, not sure what to do. Now you're at least still moving forward with whatever it is you're doing, which is super important. Let's see, I just want to move my image over a little bit so I don't have to crane my neck as far to see what I'm doing. Might also be good. Now there is the big symbol, the sniper symbol on the back here, which I'd completely forgotten about until I started setting this up. So that is still on the list of things. So between doing this, the rifle, and a couple little details, it's probably going to be 2 more sessions of painting after this one before I can kind of call this whole section done. And then I still have a base that I've that I've still yet to consider anything about. Bass has not been thought about really at all still. And I feel like I've said that like a dozen times now, or like half a dozen times, whatever it's been throughout the course of this project, but it is still about as far from my mind as it can be, which is bad because like I said, I am literally running out of things to do before I do the bass and just basically call it done. Dunzo. I'm going to be starting new stuff soon. And that one is going to be starting off with a bang, believe me. Next project is going to be kind of wild from the start where it's going to be going. Because it is not going to be the standard procedures I've been doing so far. It is going to be a very different type of experience. Which reminds me, I still need to order some things to get prepped for that I haven't done yet, that I might actually need for the very first sessions, so I should probably get on that. Or else I'm going to get myself in trouble. I don't want that. Alright, let this thing sit upside down for just a second. So we can pretend to get some actual paint in there. Not that much stuck in, so that's super cool. Let's see, it looks like there's a big old element that kind of starts up here. Goes up, goes across. Yeah, on this one my red went up, I think, higher than it needed to go, just looking at how everything is kind of playing itself out. Then you kind of come across, up, and in. And on the bottom edge, we're kind of starting from here. You kind of come down, do a little doohickey like that. And this piece kind of goes on a journey. And the journey goes underneath that guy. So I don't want this to feel super thick. So it does get skinny down here, which already is now helping with that feel. It doesn't feel like it's too big. It does come up, down, and then it comes out this way. At which point now, this is now 100% unknown territory because it's underneath the other detail. So I'm just going to take that, bring it down, take this, you come across, and down. I think that's going to be fine. Oh, next time I have a session, I'm going to think of something to talk about because I did not come prepared. I came prepared to be doing this, which I thought was going to go a little... I don't know why I thought it was going to go a little quicker. I should have known this is going to take like 2 hours to do. What are we at? We're at like 40 minutes now. And yep. But didn't come adequately prepared for the other part. Which, yes, this channel is for showcasing building and painting and all that kind of skills, how to turn an idea into an actual project, your product. However, I'm also supposed to make you want to come back for more. This is probably why there are probably very few people listening to this at the moment. Because, yeah, unless I do a voiceover later on. I mean, you don't exactly see my lips moving, so I could put on I could dub out like a separate soundtrack or something that you can then listen to me being smart later on. Okay, so we have that. There's a little something that kind of comes down on the bottom there. It starts higher up than the other, so you kind of... And then that gets lost underneath the... If it's going to get lost, we're just going to keep doing those kinds of moves there. Try to keep it at least in context of what it looks like they're naturally doing. Okay, so we're missing something up there for sure. There should be, even if you're never going to see it, there should be something going on up there. Okay, that's probably not too bad. Just do a little bit more on that. Okay, got that done. So overall, we are turning into something. Missing spots up here. So what do we have? What else do we have? I see... do I need to move my computer screen over? Nope, not that, not that, not that. The image itself. Oh no, because she's turned. That's right, I can't really see any of this stuff just because the image is what it is. We're going to be probably making up a lot of that then. Alright, well, anything... Let's see if we can figure out something for down. Can I see this side? I can see... Oop. You know what, let's slide you down a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm looking at on the side. There are some things I can see down here. Okay, so it starts kind of down here, goes actually a decent way, comes up, out, up, down, up, across, into there, a little further, and then into there. All right. It's looking so good. Yeah, I know this is... I know if you're using this as background noise, like I said, I apologize for today. Again, every now and again, we don't do our proverbial homework and think of stuff to do or say or perform, I should be. That's a little neater. That's a little neater. This is not neat how it comes in. That's a little better. Okay, so we got a little something going on there. I think I'm going to want a little something inside of this. That's okay. Yeah, my proportions here versus the proportions on that are not the same at all. So I'm just looking at this and it is not matching up in the slightest. Actually, I want something like that. And then you kind of come in. Yeah, it's amazing you don't see those types of things that are wrong until you get to a certain point like this and you try to do the next step and it's like, huh, well, that's interesting. It seemed so good before. What happened? It was awesome before. Now nothing's lining up the way I thought it was going to. All right, so I'm not going to be finishing this during this session. I can already see that. But when I come back for the next session, which will be later on today, better believe I'm going to think of something else to talk about. I'm not just going to be staring at this and you get no dialogue whatsoever. All right. Can we get some of this to kind of stay on the bottom? Make me happier? Not really. Not really. Doesn't make me happier. Okay, I can see a little bit of something going on down here. Looks like we come across there, kind of come out to another one of these doohickeys. Comes back and then goes out that direction in some way. And I think it's not really visible on the other side. When I look at that, we come back here and it's not really visible as it wraps around. So once again, we're just going to be making stuff up. Which is fine. We can have an artistic license. And still keep it, as long as we're kind of keeping with the spirit of what's going on elsewhere, we can have our own artistic license. No problems with that. Okay, that's not bad. Actually, I'll bring you out just a little. I'll bring you down. Okay. So that leaves kind of room for an element to go in here, an element to go there, and a smaller element to go here. All right, so now I just make stuff up. All right, so now I'm actually concentrating a little bit because whatever I'm doing here, I do want to look good. And kind of fill the space as best we can. So at least proportion, even if this individual shape may not be right, if we can get the proportion of shaded area to not shaded area to kind of be correct, that's kind of, I think, the more important. If we have, like, say 40% dark to 60% light, whatever shape we make, as long as we keep that proportion, it's going to look fine. So even if a shape looks nonsensical, that's what your eye is going to be drawn to. Let's see, it helps if I cut in down there nicely. Sure would be good. All right, I want a little something down here. Ooh, sorry about that. That kind of came out of nowhere. All right, so I think I'm just going to finish off this section here. I should do something on the bottom. Hold up real quick. I can kind of see the bottom. We can do something down here. It comes in, goes down, across, way up, over. It looks like it does something-ish like that. I just had to steepen out that, kind of fix up that little part just a little bit, make everything feel good and straight. Oops, we got at least a little something on the bottom. All right, we're still missing something down here. There we go. Nice little piece. That should work nice. Like it, as I said at the start, this makes this a lot easier to be kind of ad-libbing stuff when it's just islands of color in here and not really, say, an interlocking between the two colors. This way I can just make whatever random shape I want. And more often than not, it should be fine. Question mark. I think I want to go. All right, so if you're in there, we do need something, just a little bit of a, even if it's just like a little triangle-y piece down here. just to kind of fill in that void. Just felt like there was something was missing there. I don't want to put too much. Just get a little something in that. So now what's missing is really every single other piece. Oop, I didn't fill in that one nicely. Every single other piece is kind of connected to a side. We need one piece that's absolutely not connected to a side down here. And like I said, if any of this goes wrong, I can just use my magic eraser of the mocha color and just repaint the light over any of this stuff. So if it doesn't look right, I can always alter things, little bits here and there, with no problem. This is why I like paints. Paints are very forgiving that way. Okay, but we're getting there. This is where I'm gonna end off this session. I'm gonna go put that down here right now. Let's go clean off the brush. I'm gonna do one more coat on the white real quick, just so we have a second coat on. I'm not doing anything with it. Let me do it off camera. Just put this thing together. It's not gonna change the visual on this. So, all right, I'm just cleaning off the brush. We're gonna put this all together and see how we did. Okay, head comes off. Okay, that's an interesting phrase to be using, but okay, so that goes on. You're gonna go on here. Let's get you back together. All right, so how'd we do? That is looking like camouflage. That is definitely looking like camouflage there. Let's pop you back in. So yeah, next time I'm going to be finishing off this side. And I'll go and try to do the emblem down here and make that look good. And who knows, maybe if we have some free time, I'll start basing out either the metalwork or the woodwork here on the rifle so we can get a head start on that, because I would like to get that done in the session after and just have, yeah, the next two sessions finish this off. But overall, this helped. This was a big help. I'm happy to see it like this. I'm happy to see big progress being made. And yeah, next time let's hopefully get some more big progress. And until then, enjoy.